Here they come. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited you're all here. We have the best for you today. So it's going to be a good one. Anytime Dawn Brolin's in the house, it's always going to be a good one. So we're
Come on, folks, let's go.
super excited to have you all here today. And I am so happy to be back after a 4-month hiatus. It's good to be back on a webinar with all of you guys again.
Absolutely. Super pumped to have you. We've missed you so much. You know that.
It is really good to be back and to be seen and to be healthy.
Yeah. Amen,
C-
Mandy. Thank you. So glad you're back.
Cindy, I'm going to get us live on Facebook. Actually, yes, I'll get us live on Facebook right now. Of course,
Sweet.
I was logged out of that as well since I haven't been here in so long. So it's going to take me a second here.
Exciting to have you back, Mandy. But I will
All
tell
right.
you, we're going to crush this and
We
talk to
are going to
people.
crush it. We are going to help all these people lock it down before the tax year starts.
Got some
Yep.
good stories, got some good cautionary tales, got some good action items. I think, yeah, this will be a great use of 45 minutes.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get it going, Sam.
Well, we are here to talk about locking it down before the chaos hits, and that is always the best time for preparation. And so with you today, you've got me and Mandy, the dynamic duo, back in action after a few months. So glad to have Mandy back.
Yes.
You guys, those of you that have joined us before, know me, and so we will skip right on over to the infamous Dawn Brolin.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, I mean, really, does she need any introductions? I mean, the woman just does everything. And this year, she was actually the MC of Scaling New Heights, which I missed, and I am totally bummed out. She's the founding member of Team Brolin. She's the designated motivator. She is the CEO of a Connecticut-based CPA firm, The Powerful Accounting Inc., president of multiple Cornerstone Foundations, a member of the ADP Advisory Board, and she's a presenter at the CPA Academy. 100 top 100 most influential accounting people. Of course, she is. And she really works to help CPA firms achieve I guess it's like the freedom to where they only have to work like 6 hours instead of 15 hours a day. So, Dawn, we are so incredibly happy to have you here today to talk with all of us.
I love being on these webinars. And I will tell you, folks, when I say working only 6 hours a day, that's during tax season.
That
When
is
I'm
what?
outside of tax season, it's 2 to 3 hours. Now, today I may work a little extra because it's raining and there's nothing to do. So I'll work because I'm bored, not because, I necessarily have to. So, but I really want to help people figure out how to have the firm of their dreams. And there are so many things that go into that. And one of the biggest ones is great, you've created this firm, this amazing firm where you're, not working very much and you're making plenty of money, but are you protected? And I think that that's really important because when I'm not in the office, if I'm not the one that people are looking to help keep us safe as a firm, they need to have their own education. They need to have all of their own, have some personal skin in the game when it comes to making sure we're protecting what we've created. And that's why we're here today.
That's exactly right. So we're gonna touch on why accounting firms are prime targets, and we've been talking about this for years, and it's a topic that I think just continues to stay relevant. So we're gonna keep talking about it until it isn't. We're also going to talk about where those super soft, vulnerable spots are inside of your firms. Share some real world stories, like I mentioned at the top of the hour, and then talk about some immediate actions that you can take. Some of them free, some of them a little investment tied to them, but things that you can do today to harden that security and get you a little closer to safe.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, we know this. So I think about cyber madness, and I loved that term that we put on this slide because it is madness out there. Alerts. I got a text this morning from a client. Hey, FYI, my Citibank card got compromised. So, I need to change my billing for your invoice to a new card, blah, blah, blah. It seems very regular that people are finding themselves in vulnerable positions because the madness around cyber crimes out there has escalated to a point where it's out of control. And so it's, 3 years ago, Sam, Mandy, 5 years ago, we were talking about this. We've been talking about this for a long, long time since computers came out. But really, the level of intensity has gotten crazy. I would even say in the last 6 months, it has ramped up, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen a steady increase really since December, I think 2022, when ChatGPT became commercially available. So once everyone had access to it, we saw a huge uptick in ransomware as a service, malware as a service, and that just means the people that have limited or no coding experience were able to leverage these large language models to help them write code, malicious code, and then sell it to other people for a piece of the pie. Free.
Mm.
Fast forward to 2025, and it's everywhere. A lot of those big breaches that you hear about are results of that sort of global network of hackers that are sharing code and sharing the profit from the use of that code.
And what I think that one of the pieces that it's kind of frightening that I'm still seeing this. We know accountants hold the keys to the kingdom. We talk about this on every single webinar, every single one of them. And yet I'm not so sure accountants are really listening. Now, those that are here on the call today, they're probably, they're here to learn, they're here to understand kind of what's happening out there when it comes to cyber crimes. And I commend those folks that are here today. The ones that are not here today, or even maybe the ones that are here today that are still doing the same things they've been doing, which one thing I even still see are emailing tax returns. And I talk to practitioners about that. I'm like, there's many other examples, but just from this perspective, it's like, oh, but I masked their social. That's kind of irrelevant at this point. If you think about a tax return, it has your adjusted gross income on it. It has this, it has that. Like, there are things that are inside of those documents that are more than just a social. And I think we forget about that, right? And smaller firms are at risk, myself included. Why? Because I don't have somebody sitting here watching me open my email and do stuff, right? Fewer IT security resources in my local area. And I would say to people and again, a lot of firms I talk to, oh, well, I got a local IT guy. Well, have you looked at his certificates? Is he maintaining his education? Is his knowledge? Is he, what is he doing, or he or she doing to continue to improve their education around what's necessary? I know for me, less training for staff. If we weren't with Visory, we wouldn't be doing any training. I can tell you that right now, because that would require my effort. It would require me to go online and find some security webinars and then have my staff watch it and all these things. But I wouldn't be monitoring how often we're doing, like, I don't have time for that. So I need somebody else to help do that, right, Sam?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the perfect storm for small firms when you think about resource limitations, older systems. When we have smaller firms come on, we often see outdated hardware, things that are no longer getting security patches, and that's again because of resources and knowledge. They're like, well, it still works. Why do I have to replace it? And unfortunately, you do have to have an asset refresh, an asset lifecycle sort of refresh schedule. You have to replace them when they hit end of life. Windows 10, great example. We're in October. Windows 10 is end of life officially in 5 days. If your machine is still running Windows 10 and is not capable of being upgraded to Windows 11, you are at risk in 5 days. So those are really great examples of things that we see in small firms. Another is a false sense of security. So some of the folks that aren't here still think that they're too small to become a target. And unfortunately, it's the opposite because the bad actors know that they can capitalize, they can exploit the trust that accountants have with their clients. And the smaller they are, the less likely they are to have multiple layers of security that are going to protect that data, that information. And the other big one that I would share is that within small firms, we often see staff using personal devices. And so we're mixing business and personal on the same machine, but we're not using the same sets of standards for our personal accounts. We may not have MFA turned onto our Gmail. We may not have a spam filter on our personal mail. So we might be really more likely to click on a piece of malware that's going to then exist on that shared machine. So now we've got malware that didn't come through our business email, something that came through our personal email, but now it has the potential to screen capture, key log, infect, otherwise encrypt, ransomware. It could be anything, but it generated through our personal device, our personal pathways. So mixing business and personal, also not a great idea. We should be moving into a model where we either isolate all of our work in a remote environment, which is a more advanced concept that we can talk about, or we have dedicated devices. We have a business device that's managed. Personal stuff happens on a personal device.
Yep, absolutely. And that's, I think there's some firms out there who have remote employees that are letting them use their own personal computer.
Hmm.
And so those are definitely risky areas. You don't know what they've got for internet. You don't know that they're locked down on their internet. Do they even have a password? Or is it just anyone join this network and now hackers know what to do when it comes to
Right,
that? So
right.
and those are kind of the scary things. And yep, and you know what? There's an investment. Unfortunately, if you're in business, you've got a firm, you're going to have to invest in your business. And I can't think of anything more important than security, really, at the end of the
Well,
day.
that's true. And you'll be glad you invested in it because those who don't invest in it, they're taking the risk of losing the whole business.
Yes.
One cyber attack wipes them out.
Yep. Absolutely.
60%, right? 60%. We saw it on the last side.
Mhm.
60% have to close their doors.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's part of the problem is no incident response plan. So they
Right.
don't have getting yourself a WISP. So you have a plan. Should something happen, people are always like, oh, I used to say, when it comes to audits, I'll use this as an example. Like I used to say, oh, the chances of you getting audited, right? So the chances of you getting audited are just as good as you getting bit by a shark in your driveway. And I don't say that anymore. Why? Because I see audits all the time.
Yeah.
And whether there doesn't matter, oh, well, I'm just a little guy. Yeah, you know what? They'll go after you too. Trust me. You're just as good as a snack as anybody else, just like a shark, right? So we try to help people understand that, we talk a lot about succession planning. We talk a lot about, ROI and how many multiples can I get when I sell my business? Well, you're going to get zero if you have no clients left after you get hacked and they find out about it because you don't have a response plan. So we know we've got to have that in place, and we can get into the whole cybersecurity insurance and how that all plays out as well, because that's another piece of the pie. So I just think that people have to realize that if it's a smaller firm, I can't afford that. Well, then maybe you need to shift your pricing. Something else has to give in order for you to take care of the things that are most important. Are there people out there who never drink water? We know water is the bulk of what constitutes you as a human being. You got to
Hmm.
drink a lot of water. Well, if you don't drink water ever, at some point you're going to die. Like if you're stranded on an island and you don't drink water, you're dead. You're a dead person. So if you think about it, like this is absolutely essential for you to run your business in a secure way for both you and for the protection of your clients.
And there are incident response plans. So remember, you're required to have a WISP. So that written information security plan is a requirement. The next thing that comes after that is that incident response plan. And this is so critical to do in the calm times because you don't want to wait until the inevitable happens. And then you're scrambling. Do I need to reach out to my IRS liaison? Do I need to reach out to the FBI? Who do I need to reach out to local law enforcement? Like who do I need to contact in the event of an attack, of a breach? And so knowing that information, having that information documented is going to make it so that if the worst happens, you can pull that document out and say, okay, Sally, you're going to talk to our IRS liaison because we do tax and that's one of our requirements. Jesse, you're gonna call the FTC, and Mike, you're gonna call local law enforcement, and let's figure out where we go next. So you want to know who you're required to contact, know who's going to do the contacting, have that divided and conquered, or if you're a solo practitioner, then you know you're making all those phone calls, but know who those phone calls are going out to. Really important to just have that figured out well in advance of the actual event.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure.
So what's a day in the life of Dawn?
Oh, Lord help us all. So, even though there are times we think we've taken all of the steps that we need in order to secure ourselves. Well, over the summer this year, we have Visory. We've had Visory for over 3 years now. My phone is locked down. My laptop, my MacBook is locked down. This local desktop is locked down because I'm like all about locking down. Like I'm into it. I don't join the airport internet. I don't join the hotel internet. We don't do those things. Dawn Brolin doesn't do those things. Well, I require my team to do the same types of things, but I require that. But I needed to do a little bit more follow up because my bookkeeper had her laptop stolen out of her car while she was giving birth to a baby. Now, I'm not sure if it was actually the moment she was giving birth to this baby, but it was certainly the day she was giving birth to the baby. Husband's cell phone gets stolen right out of the hospital garage, laptop gets stolen. And of course, so she has this baby, and then she's got to call me to tell me this laptop has been stolen. Well, I just bought it about, I think, 6 or 7 months ago. It was 2 grand. So I'm like, all right. So she calls me and she's like, I have to tell you something. I'm like, okay. Well, first, can I hear about the baby? Can we start with the baby? And so she's like, yeah, the baby's beautiful. Everything's great. My laptop got stolen. I'm like, no big deal. I'll just make a phone call. And as a matter of fact, it was in July and it was during Bridging the Gap. And I happened to be with Sam all week. I run over to Sam. Sam, I got a problem. Nicole's laptop got stolen. What do I do? She goes, well, just, send out a ticket. They'll take care of it, wipe it, blah, blah, blah. I go, problem. Nicole never took the time to put the managed device protection on her laptop. That's at the moment where I wanted to grab her and strangle her. But she had a newborn baby, so you can't do that. I didn't care about the another 2 grand that I'm going to spend on a laptop. I cared about the fact that she wasn't doing what we had trained her to do and told her to do. And that fell on me. I should have been verifying. I should have been working. I should have contacted Visory and said, hey, are all my team's laptops, covered or whatever. So we ordered the new laptop and I said to her, I said, if you don't have that thing within 24 hours locked down with Visory, you're fired. She makes a lot of money at Powerful Accounting and she gets her master's degree paid for by Powerful Accounting. She has a lot of really cool benefits at Powerful Accounting. You think she had that thing set up in 24 hours? You bet. And I followed up to make sure. So these types of things may happen, especially in that remote environment. So I got lucky. I got lucky because we shut down the email. So I was like, Sam, what do we do? He's like, well, I tell you what I can do. And he went in, he secured everything. He locked her out of the hosting environment. She couldn't log in. She couldn't work for like 2 weeks. So we locked her right down.
She just had a
And
baby though, so to be fair, she needed to not be working.
well, Sam, it was a great excuse because my girl's a hard worker. The
Yep.
girl is a hard worker. And I said, you know what? And she goes, can you please get me back into my email? I'm like, nope, not yet. And then eventually I was like, okay, she's got her computer. As soon as it's locked down, she can be turned back on again and she can get back to work. But it was terrifying to me. And so again, if you have remote staff, you better make sure that those devices are locked down. And we talked about all those things that happen with a small business, 2FA, all those things. Well, managed device, having the protection on your devices is so critical that people think of hosting. Oh, it's just hosting. I don't want hosting. Okay, so would you like to secure your end devices? Would you like to make sure that things are secure? Like sometimes we make choices. It's like, I need to eat because I'm literally going to pass out if I don't eat. We're not passing out yet because of security. We need to get to that point. We need to get to a desperate situation and the problem is we've got to do it before it actually happens. And so, as we at Powerful Accounting are growing and learning, and that's what we're doing. The team device missing, and they missed that manage IT. And then we had a bank account hack attempt. So actually, this happened a few things. Number one, the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation, somehow, while I was at Scaling New Heights, Sam, so I know it wasn't me because I was quite busy. someone created a US bank account for the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation.
I know you told me about this one. It was wild.
And none of us on the board, everyone at the board was at Scaling New Heights teaching and networking. And if anyone's ever been to a conference, you know you're not opening a bank account for anyone at a conference. I literally, Sam, and if I'm lying, just take me down right now. I have the letter right here. I have just scanned it. I didn't scan it right there. I have it. I got a letter today that finally the account was closed. Because I had to go through hoops to close this account.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
That one little thing alone. And that wasn't even something that I probably could have. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe did I log in on someone else's device? I don't know. But what I do know is that if I don't take the necessary steps to minimize the risk of an attack on our environment, on our work, I don't have anything local when it comes to tax. We host our tax software. Why? I need that tax software protected and locked down. So everyone thinks hosting is secure. I don't need hosting. Well, hosting is what's going to help you become secure, but with the right company, the right entity that will also protect end devices, that will also give you training, that will also do these other things that are actually more critical than just having a hosting company. That protection to sign into an environment when you have an issue, people are locked down in moments. And if you don't have that and something happens and you can't get locked down right away, they're going to run to the hills with your information and sell it to the world, and you're going to be out of business.
It speaks to the value of partnerships, I think, as well. Because in this case, Dawn, you had a direct line to me. I think you were on the golf course. I was in my garage waiting out a rainstorm, doing some stuff before I was flying out to
Yes.
Bridging. And you're texting me, you're like, what am I gonna do? And I'm talking to one of my guys and getting back to you between holes.
Yes. Yeah. Because the way I look at golfing and the way I've changed my mind and the way I think about golfing is that is considered an office.
Sure.
It's
Can
mobile.
be. Mhm.
It's mobile. It's a mobile office. You're in a golf cart. You can still take calls if you need to, right?
Why
I-
not?
I'm not get. I like to get paid while I'm golfing. Sometimes I do that. Get on calls for people. But really, at the end of the day, that day in the life is terrifying. That these things are happening without us knowing. Like right now, somebody is trying to hack into your system. Like literally right now, they're coming after us, and so we know that the story, and you can go see something about a cybercrime coming in through the FBI. And think of this one's really terrifying. Damn, I client right before April 15th. How do you not pass out from that? How do you just not what? Crazy. And that's what's happening because at that federal level, we're finding out this stuff that is happening because nobody wants anyone to know about it, by the way. I wouldn't want anyone to know that I got hacked, right? Because that's just not really great. That's not really a great representation of my professionalism. Not that I could, as long as I'm taking the steps necessary to minimize that risk. Because Sam, I'm sorry, but there's no one that can eliminate it. Am I right?
100.
Well, the old joke, the old cybersecurity joke. I can make you 100% secure. Walk into your office and unplug your router, right? Just take everybody off the network, and boom, you're safe. Nobody can steal your stuff. I mean, you still have your insider threats at that point, I guess. Somebody could just delete everything or take it with them. But no, you're absolutely right. Even the FTC and the safeguard rule documentation makes it really plain that you need to take reasonable steps to protect against reasonable risk. So, a small firm, yes, you have risk. Do you have the same risk as Johnson and Johnson or Chase Manhattan Bank? Is it still called Chase Manhattan Bank? I don't even know.
Chase
JP
Bank, I
Morgan
think it's just
Chase,
Chase
JP
now.
Morgan Chase.
Yeah,
Right? You don't have the same risks. You don't have the same level of risks, but you still have risks. And so when you're writing your written information security plan, or when you're working with a partner to write your written information security plan, the very first step is identifying where your risks are and deciding which risks you are comfortable accepting and which risks are absolutely not acceptable and have to be mitigated against. And some of that's going to have to do with budget, some of that's going to have to do with implementation pain, some of that's going to have to do with um, other priorities. And so some of those risks may be put on a roadmap. You might decide, okay, you know what, Q3 of 2026, we are going to do X because we know it's important, but we're comfortable waiting until after tax season to do it. So there's a lot that goes into it, but the very first step in that WISP writing is saying, okay, where's my data? Who has access to my data? What are my rules about sharing that data? What's my stance on emailing tax returns? Am I okay with that, or am I gonna put my foot down and say I'm not accepting attachments from clients?
right.
And so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about knowing your risk. It's where's the data, who has access to it, how can it be shared, and then we start to put layers in place around protecting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, this IRS crackdown. So I've noticed myself a lot more activity when it comes to an IP pin than I've seen in the past.
Mm,
So people are now you can voluntarily get an IP pin. So if you personally want to go get yourself one, you can go get yourself one. But in the event that there has been an issue with a tax refund or a return that was filed on someone's behalf, which has happened to clients of mine, where I'm like, hey, rejection said file returns already filed, and now we got issues. And to unravel all of that, and that's just those are just things that we know can't necessarily prevent, but those are indications of the increase in the risks associated with identity theft, that we don't want to be the cause of that. I think is part of the purpose here as we're talking about this, and we know those frauds are common. Um, or kids returns getting filed when they're
mm.
12 years old, and they don't even have jobs, and people are filing returns on behalf of kids, and now the parents can't claim the kid. Now we got to mail in a return, like it just turns into a nightmare. Those are things we
Wow.
can't control necessarily, but we can control being as preventative of cyber crime as possible. And that's where we need to be. And I love this. Well, I don't love this, but I just love the fact that this stuff, we get some information to say, hey, the FBI's, they reported nearly 860,000 complaints in 1 year. So 860,000 people have reported issues. 16.6 billion in losses for businesses and individuals. I'm going to say this right now. I don't want to lose a penny. I don't want to lose any money when it comes to the hard work that we put into for our clients, and it's absolutely crazy. Um, so Irma, I use the ID Me account. I go into the IRS website to pull transcripts, or I go ahead and go in there and I'm maybe looking to see if my 2848 has activated yet, or whatever the case. And I did see something I want to just, because I know this is a little bit of a sidebar, but I want to mention this, something about the IRS website. I saw on social media somebody was asking about how do they revoke their POAs. Well, you can go into the IRS website now, into your Tax Pro account, and you can revoke your POAs electronically right online, which I think is something that we all should be, as part of thinking about cybercrime and fraud. How are we protecting ourselves if we have POAs out there that we don't even have those clients anymore? And yet we still have access to their info, and we're getting letter notices in the mail, and we're getting these things. It's more information than we need to be responsible for. So as just another little sidebar recommendation to everyone that's on this call today or watching this recording, is get in there and revoke your POAs, so that that is actually a proactive, minimizing risk approach. So I don't think we put that in our recommendations, but I'm glad Irma you said that, because that was something that I actually have been thinking about over the last week when I saw that on social. I'm like, wow, people don't know that, and I get it. So anyway, we got to start
No, that's a
preventing.
great tip. And I think it's in that same vein, and I think it might be in our recommendations. It's going to be in that same vein as reviewing access controls. So when we think about access controls, we often think about who inside of our organization and outside of our organization has access to our data. So who have we shared a folder out to in our OneDrive or SharePoint or ShareFile? But to take it a step farther, you're absolutely right. What do I have access to that I just don't need anymore? So that POA is
Hmm.
great.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah, and I think the analysts are predicting that cybercrime is going to cost the world in the neighborhood of like trillions of dollars in 2027. I forget how many trillions. I want to say like 7, 14. So a ridiculous and unfathomable number for given most of the attacks are in that 20 to $60,000 range. But then we have to remember that all the remediation costs that come after it. So credit monitoring for your clients and news systems and hardened security and all of the major investment that comes after a breach.
And lack of revenue, that's another issue. But the consequences are
Yeah.
certainly real, Sam, because there was a
Yes.
tax firm hit by ransomware and lost everything. And that, I just know for 26 years I've been running this firm, most of the time not that well, almost the whole, only up until about 3, 4 years ago, not really well. I think almost like COVID maybe woke me up. But you know, I just can't imagine losing everything that I've worked for my entire career because I was like, oh, I don't want to spend X number of dollars to ensure that I'm at least taking the steps necessary to ensure that we are minimizing our exposure really at the end of the day. So tax firm, bye, gone, hit by ransomware, not cool. Spoofed email, money stolen, we know how those go. The email will come and Tracy has had to notify me. She's like, hey, did you send this email? And whatever. And I'm like, no, because I don't, first of all, talk like that. Number two, I would text you, I would not email you asking for money. So, like, none of that stuff is real. It's similar to a spoofed email with money stolen, is very similar to when people call people and say, hey, you owe this money to the IRS. If you
Right.
don't give me this money today, I'm gonna send the local police over to arrest you tomorrow morning. And the people will I get texts from clients. I get, notification, hey, is this real? Should I do this? I go, no. Or even the simple 1-800 tax resolution companies that are out there. Those are thieves. They're maybe not cyber criminals, but pretty similar out there stealing money from people, essentially. I'm making that as a blanket statement, but or opinion. But email where money is stolen happens often. And I think the biggest part of that one thing right there is because we don't get educated and we don't pay attention. And so we fall into these traps because we don't know if it's real or not. And we're just like, oh, we expect it to be real. And the more we can help educate our clients, the better off we are being as trusted advisors as well. That's a whole nother step further. But we've got to at least take advantage. And then no backups, no recovery. Because I have a question. Why is anyone doing backups in the first place? Why do you have a little tape with the little tapey stuff, and you used to use a pencil to rewind it, right? A cassette tape people are still using, similar to a cassette tape, and they plug them into their computer and it backs up when they shut down their computer, and then they just shut their computer down and they walk out of the office. And the tape is still in the computer and they don't rotate them. They don't do it. First of all, why would anyone want to do that? Number two, like, it's probably not a great process that you have. So why wouldn't you put your data with someone that you can trust that will handle that for you with multiple backup systems, almost moment by moment? Like, that's just something I don't understand that because it is just such a huge responsibility. Let somebody else handle that. And so
We do
there's just
still see tape from time to time. Yeah, it's interesting that
Well,
tape
Sam,
backups
you
are
know
still a
why?
thing.
Because they do. So here's another, just take it a step further with the tape or any method of backup, external hard drive, however you're doing it. Have you ever tried to restore it? Has your IT person taken that backup, put it onto a different computer, restored it to see if you're at the same point in both systems? Has anyone ever done that? Ever?
It
I'm going to
should
say
be
no.
happening at least annually. For any backup and recovery plan, you should have at least annual DR tests, disaster recovery. So know that you can recover from that data. It's absolutely critical because your backup is only as good as your ability to recover from it.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. So, I just don't want any of these consequences. I don't want any of this to happen for me or any of my clients, or actually, as a matter of fact, any of you. So let's take this session today and actually do something with it. And that means get out there and start protecting yourself properly the way you should
And
be.
and remember on those spoofed emails, AI is making them so much more convincing these days. They look so real. They're even getting to the point that the voice, if you will, is starting to sound like the person that they're imitating because they have enough samples of their writing.
Yes.
So keep in mind that there's going to be red flags inside of that email that you can look for things like the URLs and the email address, making sure that it really is what it looks like like it is, and looking for special characters and fonts. But the other thing, the big giveaway, is typically a sense of urgency. They need something done right now. And anytime there's that sense of urgency, that should be a giant red flag, whether it's legitimate or not. If there's a right now deadline to send money or buy gift cards, which I don't think any of us are falling for these days, that sense of urgency is going to be a big red flag we should be looking for.
Sam, how many, I don't know about you, probably, maybe you do. I get so many emails from sign your contract,
Hmm.
sign this thing, Adobe signature, sign this DocuSign. And I always look at the email, and 98% of the time there's not something that I should be signing. And that's where, people start getting into those another email. And I have to say, Sam, I watch on social media sometimes. I don't know, like, it's how they are doing the thing where let's do a post NFL interview. Let's use that as an example because the Patriots are the best. So I can say that again with confidence. So um so think about how, maybe Drake May's talking to getting interviewed by the press, right? Or whatever. The guys are out there, reporters are out there, and they're interviewing. And somebody does a voiceover of Drake May saying really not nice things. It's not really him saying that.
Yeah.
And it is getting it's convincing. Now I don't believe what the heck's going on at all anymore
No, you
because I
can't.
don't know if that's real.
Yep.
Right. And that's why if yeah, I know we're going off again on a little bit of a side road here, but especially when it comes to financial transactions, if you get a call that you're not expecting from a client that's asking you to make a really bold and drastic financial change that you hadn't previously talked about, it's a really good idea to call them back on a number that you know that they have and use, and at least do a little extra diligence in that old school it's almost like an old school multi-factor authentication. Like
Yeah.
let's call you on the number that I know is yours. That's the one that I have in my system. And sure, is it possible for a bad actor to reroute a phone call? Yes. Is it more likely that they're spoofing the phone number? Yes. So when you pick up the phone and you actually call that number and you talk to your client, you know what their voice sounds like, and say, "Hey, are you really wanting me to do X?" That's a really great extra verification layer because they are
Yeah.
getting so good, Dawn. You're right.
Yeah. It's scary.
Um, w- Emailing tax docs.
Come on, man. Like for real. Like we got to be done with that. Email is not secure. We have to understand that. It's just not. And what I find really with this is out of control. The banks even ask for information by email. They're just getting into using portals for you to get information. Now, obviously, the much larger banks are pretty good at it. They've been doing it for a good amount of time of, you got to log in order to access a message, right? But there's still so many of them that are not doing that. So you may feel like, well, if the banks aren't doing it, why am I doing it? Why shouldn't I just do the same standards as the bank? We can't think that way. We want to use encrypted portals. We have to do those types of things because all it takes is one thing to happen. So you have 300 clients, it only takes one client's information to be compromised for you to be in a bad place. And so we've got to stop email. And it's not even us emailing the tax documents, you guys. It's the clients. So here's what I would encourage you to do. It's something we're going to do this tax season. Is our auto reply for the entire tax season is going to be in all red, bold, capped. And we're going to actually put a rule. So you can do a rule on an auto reply that says, if there's an attachment in this email, send this reply. Hey, tax documents, if I see you have an attachment. If that has anything to do with your taxes, here's a link to Smart Vault, go upload your documents. We're not playing that game with people. So, and our clients, they just want to get it done with. They're not thinking about security. They're not thinking about what it could do to us. They're one person. We're one of 300. We've got 300,000, 10,000 clients, however many you have. That one person making a decision that's best for them because they're lazy can have a very terrible result for you and the other 299 of your clients. So we have to, unfortunately, train the client. And in order to do that, we have to have those conversations. And so in our videos that we send with our engagement letters at the beginning of tax season, hey, listen, here's how it's going to go. We need to keep you secure as well as keeping ourselves and our other clients secure. Do not email us tax documents. We're making the efforts to educate the client. We understand that the clients aren't all necessarily going to listen. We still have to be very disciplined if a tax document comes through that we don't accept it. It's easy to just say, oh, all right, I just got to get this return done. I'll just take this W-2 and just so I can finish this return. That's a technical foul. We got a challenge flag on the field. Somebody's being ejected. All those things are happening when those poor decisions are made.
What recommendations can you give our friends for their older clients who are not tech savvy that push back hard on using a portal?
Yep, and they will. So we give them the only options will be to drop off your tax documents. You can come here physically and drop them off, or you can mail them. If you can't upload them to a portal, I don't want them by email, which by the way is a little sus, in my opinion. A little suspicious that they can email me a document, but they can't log into something. But you were able to log into your email. Like, I don't know, no, not getting it. Like, it's the funny story of the clients who are against technology. And I love this. My favorite story about teaching a client how to take a picture of receipts
Oh
and
yeah.
saying to him, I can't do that, right? I can't do it. I don't know. I'm not good with technology. I'm just an electrician. Oh, okay, no problem. And then we just talk about something else and they go, oh, wait a minute. Isn't your daughter 6 months old? And he says, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And I'm like, show me a picture. Let me see her. And he shows me the picture and I'm like, oh my God, she's beautiful. And you can take a picture, can't you? And then he just looks at me and he just shakes his head and he's like, you got me. So we make a lot of assumptions around elderly people, and we know, Irma, that there are elderly people who do struggle and it's hard. And that's where we still and they're the most vulnerable.
Mhm.
They're I feel the most vulnerable in that they don't know what's right and wrong because isn't how they grew up. So the more we can help those folks be educated of mail it to me, drop them off, whatever you have to do, but I can't have you email this stuff to me. And you know what? Unfortunately, we have to take some time for that. But if you're charging enough and you have enough time and you're running your firm properly and you're secure and everything's running efficiently, just calling someone to call them out on that doesn't take a lot of time. And it may mean saving your practice. Oh, no MFA. I hate it. I know. I hate it too, everybody. No MFA. You might as well just don't put a password on your internet, right? So don't put a password on your internet. Just let anyone join your internet. Why are you even bothering? But you got minimum. I mean, this is minimum, but it does block 99% of the attack. So why wouldn't we be doing this? Right?
And it's going to go right back to what I was talking about earlier, Dawn. We've got to do it on our personal accounts, just like we do it on our business accounts. We can't you don't want to put yourself at risk. You know you've got stuff in your personal email that's probably sensitive. Let's have your MFA. You know that's where your bank password reset's going. You know that's where your Facebook and LinkedIn password resets are going. So let's protect our email. Let's protect our LinkedIn. We spend years building networks. If your LinkedIn is compromised, you're going to have a really difficult time getting it back.
Yeah. And I know we're going to give some tips at the end here. And I know we're a little bit pressed
Yeah.
for time,
Yeah, we're
but
cruising here
I
now.
know we're just, there's so much to talk about as always, but 90% of breaches start with a click, and that's the problem. And by the way, I've tried to eliminate clicking. I don't even like to click anymore. I used to say I don't like to scroll. Now I don't like to click. Like there's where am I going to be the happiest, right? I'm going to be the happiest when I can put my feet on my desk and the computer just talks to me and I talk back. Can you post a journal entry over here to do this? Hey, make sure you get that, and I'm telling the computer what to do. But really, at the end of the day, phishing is a people problem because people are just trying to get their work done. They don't know any better and they're clicking.
Well, and you can patch a firewall, but you can't patch human curiosity. And you send somebody something and they think it's legitimate, they're going to want to know what it is so that they can help.
Yep,
They're naturally helpful. You are hiring naturally helpful people. That's what you do in your practice is help people. So of
that's
course
right.
they want to click. They're curious about how they can help, and you can't patch that. All you can do is train that. And Mandy, I know this is your passion area.
It is my passion area. So, they are your frontline defense. The more you train your staff on what to look for in an email, the better off that you're going to be. When in doubt, don't click. And now there are so many good email filters out there that are going to help you even further. So, if you have a good security company that has you in place, I mean, these email filters are now taking the bad actors right out of your emails so that you don't even see those emails. Or if there's a link in it, like the solution that we offer our clients, you click on that link and it actually goes through and makes sure it's a legitimate link before it even allows you to go through it. So take the money and invest in the security and train your staff on what to look for, how to look at an email to make sure it's legitimately coming from who they think it's coming from, and not to click on things or open attachments if they're not expecting that email from a certain person.
Yeah, and a funny, quick little story, Sam. I got so we have the training, and they send us an email, and we have to do the training and all of these things. And I got the email, and it looked funky. It didn't look right. I'm like, this. There's no real signature down here. Something isn't. I don't. I got suspicious. So what did I do? I emailed it to Sam. I said, Sam, is this legitimate? And he said, yes, that's your training. I'm like, okay, see, but because we are taking the training, we are more cautious than we've ever been before because it's in front of us more than it's ever been before. And I think that that's super important. But you got to get your team to do it too. It can't just be you.
We'll have to get you some stickers, Dawn. No clicky
No clicky
clicky.
clicky.
And that's
I
something that
love
we
it.
started probably 10 years ago. I started that with my team because we shared an inbox. So we had personal inboxes, but really everything went to the same inbox, and we all shared it. And if something kind of weird came in, this is before the next gen mail filters were available. If something would come in, we'd look at it. If it looked kind of sus, we'd go into chat, go into our team's chat and say, no clicky clicky, guys, no clicky clicky. And so it took off. That's where that came from. And now we're bringing it to you all. It's all about building a culture of security. So being aware, looking for the red flags, calling it out, doing that extra verification by phone, like we talked about, if it's a weird request that looks legitimate or sounds legitimate. All of those are really important things. And then when we're talking about investments in cyber, remember there are really inexpensive, even free things to do. MFA is one of them. MFA is going to be free in almost every platform that you are in. It should be on. If it's not, do that, right? Do that today. Um, and then kind of all around the same price point, you're going to be able to find cybersecurity awareness training and testing platforms. Now that one might have a minimum user threshold if you're not working through a partner that economy of scale and can sell it in smaller batches if you're a small firm. Another one's going to be a good quality backup solution for your Office 365 or G Suite. Again, your ability to recover is only as good as your backup. So you should have a backup on everything. QBO on your server for your tax software, and definitely on your mail and calendar and contacts. You want to make sure that if there's ever a cyber incident, you can recover your 365 account or your G Suite account. Another one, all within sort of that same price point, is going to be one of those next gen mail filters. Make sure you're getting the junk out. Don't even give your team the opportunity to click on it. So the more that you can filter out at the front end, the safer your practice is going to be. So there's just a few that are super non-invasive to implement and bring a lot of value right away. And leveraging partners. We mentioned economies of scale, leveraging a partner like Visory or some of the other ones that are out there that are really reputable that I won't name because they're competitors. Right? They're gonna have trusted, vetted solutions. And they're going to be able to listen to you consultatively, understand your risk profile, and help you put together a package that's going to help you mitigate the risk that you need to mitigate. Um, Dawn, you brought up the portals. The portals have been around for a long time. I think that they're largely pretty affordable, especially
Yeah.
for the value that they bring and the integrations that are available with some of those portals. I think you use Smart Vault, you mentioned.
Yep. Absolutely. Use Smart Vault for sure.
What else is hooked into Smart Vault? Anything? Does it do
Yeah,
stuff?
Lacert prints
Okay.
directly to Smart Vault. Smart Vault connects with Financial Sense really well. It's the Lisio pushes documents
Mhm.
directly into Smart Vault. They're all genuinely connected, which is very different. So things like Ignition, which is directly integrated into Financial Sense. It's not a zap. It's not
Mhm.
this workaround to get them to integrate, which is can be very concerning. And so, we are very, like I said, we've said before, very security focused, and we're very technology integrated focused with a true integration, which is why when a some kind of tech will come to me and say, "Hey, I want to show you my tool," and it integrates with QBO, and I'll be like, "All right, well, show me how it integrates," and it's like doesn't really integrate. So,
Mhm.
which and Intuit's done a great job of opening the API and allowing other tools
Yeah.
to get in there. But they've got again, it's just got to be a secure process how they're integrating and the way that's happening. And so cyber insurance is important. There's requirements in cyber insurance. I think it's Tammy on your team who's like a
Mhm.
total nerd out when it comes to the cyber insurance. And just because you have it doesn't mean they're going to protect you. Because if you're
That's
not
right.
doing what it says in the policy to protect yourself, that insurance is no good to you. You're paying 500, $1,000 a year for nothing because you aren't taking the steps yourself to minimize the risk of the cyber attack. The cyber insurance doesn't do that for you, by the way. They're gonna help you in the event of a cyber attack if you're doing X, Y, and Z. As a matter of fact, if you're doing all the things we talked about today on the webinar, there are certain things you've got to do. So we've got to
Right.
really be on top of that.
Yeah, you attest to it when you do your renewal, right? You're saying, oh yeah,
Exactly.
I've got advanced threat hunting. Oh yeah, I've got MFA everywhere. I know of a firm that didn't have it everywhere, but they said they did. And so they weren't covered. Yeah, just so important. Dawn, it sounds like going back to the smartphone for a second, it sounds like in addition to security, you picked up some efficiency that might help fuel your 6 hour workdays during tax season there.
Yes, it absolutely does. And I will tell you, MFA encryption on number one here. MFA and encryption. I will tell you one really quick story. Just within the last 4 months or so, I had ignition. I think I got MFA on everything I'm supposed to.
Hmm.
I didn't even notice. I didn't even realize that they had MFA for ignition, and I got hacked. Somebody went into my account and changed the bank or attempted to change the bank account on my ignition, where all my money comes in and goes into my bank account. That bank account got changed. Ignition picked it up right away, sent me an alert saying, hey, somebody change, is this true? Change your bank account. I'm like, no. Called Ignition right away. They were able to, we mitigated it. Not one penny was lost, but they were like, Brolin, you got to put MFA on there. And I no longer will check the box that says allow this for the next 30 days. Like, don't ask me for MFA for 30 days. I don't even do that anymore. I'll do MFA every time I go to log in. As much as I hate it, I would hate losing my money more. So MFA encryption,
Yep.
think about all the things. This is a great thing. 6 things to do. Make a list of all your technology. You know how you find your technology? Go to your P&L and go see what you're paying for. Are you using free things that you don't have MFA that you may be putting you at risk? Think about that as well. Do not email documents. Do not accept emailed documents. So not just send them, don't also accept them. Run phishing tests, getting those types of things. Oh, I'm going sideways. I'm going all the way down the left side.
That's all right.
But run phishing tests with your team, which if you have a trusted partner like Visory, they'll run those for you. They're going to be sending tests. They're going to see if your people are clicking. Get your WISP up to date. That's like basics. MFA encryption, getting your WISP. Don't accept email documents. Simple. Offsite backups. Why are you doing them? Get a partner like Visory who will take care of all of that for you. You don't have to think of, you know why I work 6 hours tops during tax season a day? It's because I'm not doing all that other garbage. I'm not doing that. I would rather pay someone else who has the experience than to rely on myself. And this girl doesn't want to do 1 minute of admin work. That to me is admin work. It's number one priority. I don't want to do it. So I'm not doing offsite backups because I'm trusting in a partner who handles all of that for me. Running the phishing tests are important. Again, hook up with a company like Visor who will do that for you and have that IT partner where you can rely on them. I can ask questions. Do you think this is safe? Is this right? Am I doing this? You need a partner that's going to be able to support you. Those are things you need to do before December 31st so that when we come to the next tax season, because you've been lucky, you all, including myself, we have been lucky with the practices, the way we behave as a firm owner. We've been lucky. I don't want to be lucky anymore. Right? So we have, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's time to get started now. You've got to get these things done.
That's right. And if you want to talk with me or with Mandy, feel free to schedule a call here with this QR code. And we'll be happy to continue the conversation, talk about where you're at, and help you identify where some risks are, and talk about how we might be able to help you get ready for tax season.
Absolutely.
All
Andy,
right.
did
Well,
we get
thank
it
you
all?
again. I think we did. Dawn, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us. It's always a pleasure to have you on. You always do such an amazing job.
Oh.
And thank you everybody for taking the time out of your day to join us today. And if anybody has any additional questions after the webinar is wrapped up, please don't hesitate to reach out to Sam and I. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Mandy, so
Bye.
glad to have you back, girl.
Thanks, Dawn.
Awesome.